changed in here, isn't it? It's got a real serious professional vibe about it now.
Do you know what it is?
You notice that, like counting down. Mark's behind the camera, like, quiet, please.
I think what you'll find that's changed the atmosphere is the smelly stick things. What do you call them?
I think it's now the fact that since I last saw you, you're number one saxophonist in the UK.
And you've got bigger arms. Like, what has happened?
I've just been training. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, folks, if you're tuning in, welcome back. This is actually the first episode we've done, believe it or not, since we actually put the podcast live.
Is it?
Yeah, because we pre-recorded everything, didn't we? To, get a bit of a back. You know, so, and I haven't seen you
since that fateful day.
Since that fateful day when you delivered that Baltian podcast. So now, just so everyone knows, Mark, although I thought you were called Ellis for 9 months of my life.
Yeah, most people call me Ellis.
Yeah, so I was like, and then I was getting confused because you actually called Mark. Mark Ellis.
Mark Ellis.
It's
Makes
confusing
sense now, doesn't it?
But you're now co-host for 4 episodes.
Really?
Yeah, that's what you are. You've got the next 4 episodes. Okay. You are my co-host.
All right.
Because I wanted to talk to you about some cool stuff.
Okay.
And you wanted to talk to me about some cool stuff. And everyone loved your first one. So I've got a Baltian question to start off. What have you been doing the last few months, apart from winning these awards? What award did you win?
I won. Just for clarity, it's not a big deal. It is not a big deal. But basically, I was the most booked saxophonist on a particular platform called Encore Musicians, which is an online agency for musicians.
Right.
And I got booked last year more than anybody else on that site, which is kind of a big deal in a way because I only joined it in January.
Well, make your mind up. Is it a big deal or not?
I'm proud. It's something I'm proud of, yeah. But it's not like I'd much rather win a Grammy or
no shit.
Play for England. But yeah, no, it's important that I at least acknowledge that I've done something that I didn't know I was going to do, and it means that I'm doing something right when I'm working. I'm obviously doing something right because people are
booking you up.
Yeah. So that's nice.
And because I've been stalking you. You've started your own podcast.
Yeah.
What's it called?
The Sax Shed.
And what do you do on the Sax Shed?
We talk about, in this order, life, music, and saxophone. So obviously I'm a saxophonist, and me and my partner are going to release a online community for saxophonists where they learn about saxophone, but it'll be all things saxophone. But we want it to be a bit more all-encompassing than that. So, because if you look at, obviously my life is very saxophone-based, but music is bigger to me than saxophone.
Right.
Like, the fact that I played sax is probably, we might have chatted about that on the last one, but...
No, we just chatted about it just a minute ago.
It's just an accident, really. And then, obviously, so music's bigger than the sax, because it could have been any other instrument. And then life is bigger than music, but probably apart from family and friends, music's the biggest part of my life. So it's kind of like in reverse order.
I like
the
it,
podcast.
Yeah. You realise, I don't know if anyone's noticed this, but we don't have an order.
Right, okay.
there's no orders this show.
Well, yeah,
people roll in like you and go, what are we going to talk about? I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see where it goes.
Literally, that's what just happened.
But music, I want to talk about music because I love music. I have music on all the time. Mm-hmm. And I said to you off camera, because we were talking for ages and Mark just wasn't recording, But anyway.
All the best stuff.
All the best stuff. We shot our load too early.
We did.
And I hate it when that happens.
It happens all the time to me.
Does it?
Yeah.
We can talk about that later if you want.
No, I mean in terms of podcasting.
Oh, right. Yeah. So anyway, I said to you, what do you believe about music? Because you said, why do you do what you do?
Yeah.
And I was like, why are you a musician? And you were like, I don't know, actually.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do you believe about music? And you said something pretty cool. And I was like, I love that.
I just said we're all connected by it. Like that's, in my mind, there's absolutely no doubt whatsoever that is a thing. And I don't know what the scientific basis is for that.
No.
Sometimes I think it's possibly because obviously we know that at a subatomic level, everything's vibrating, right?
Yeah.
Everything's vibrating. That's what quantum physics is. And I think that music is the organisation of vibration
right
to become a language. Because as we know, music is a form of communication because it makes you feel something, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And regardless of your where you're from or what you speak. Usually the same piece of music will probably evoke the same, if not a similar reaction or emotion in people of various backgrounds, creeds, colours and stuff. So I think...
Like universal.
Yeah. So I think, I've gone deep straight away, we're not even 5 minutes in. I think music is the organisation of these vibrations that we currently exist within, and it's become a language. And that's why I think it connects us. And I think it's bigger than anything else in terms of how humans communicate. Because you can communicate obviously lots of different ways, but I just feel when I'm at a gig, whether I'm watching a gig or playing a gig, or I'm in a band or I'm in a setting where music's involved, I genuinely feel connected to the people around me in that space. And I don't ever get that with anything else. Does that make sense?
Makes sense to me. For me, music, I think, is like modern day scripture.
Okay.
Like lyrics. I'm big on lyrics. Like, I love rhythm and beat, I love whatever sounds good, it depends what mood you're in, right? But I think lyrics, I think at certain points in my life, certain songs and certain artists have helped me navigate and find meaning in those times. I honestly believe that.
Yeah.
Listening to certain songs. Yeah, like the story in it. I love Bruce Springsteen, everyone knows that. You were talking about Sting before. Not that Sting's going to actually give a shit, but I just don't get Sting.
You don't get it?
I just never once gone, oh, that's so great. Did he do like Message in a Bottle?
Yeah.
It's not for me.
Well, that's the beauty of music though, isn't it? It's like all art.
Yeah.
You might look at one thing and think, that is awesome, and I'll be like, that's a pile of shit.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't speak to
Doesn't speak to you, yeah. And I think it depends what kind of mood you're in as well, doesn't it? But I get everyone in what we do. I'm like, you want to get good music on. I just think it's really good. Like in the mornings, get some good music in your ears.
But
Something that's going to uplift you. Something that's going to, if you want to be uplifted, listen to something that's going to uplift you. But sometimes actually, if you're feeling sad, I've noticed this playing piano. Because that's how I play piano. Yeah. I don't know if that holding tennis balls, get my arches. Is that right? Like get my arch.
I don't play piano.
I don't like to play flat. I think you're meant to play like that. You meant to like. I'm sure you're meant to so you can move. I know. I learned by listening to I Am the Music Man. Piano. Exactly. Yeah. But what was I saying?
You were talking about
playing piano.
You don't get Sting, but
I don't get Sting.
You don't get Sting, but it's really important to get some good music on in the background to raise your vibe.
But also, I think it allows you to express. I'm a big fan. You've got to feel what needs feeling. Mm-hmm. Like if you're sad, you just got to feel sad. That's fine. If you're angry, feel angry, but feel it fully, so you can move it through and you can express it. Don't keep it down because it just stays there. But I find that the piano for me, when I've had times that have been tough and I felt down or upset, I will just naturally go and soothe myself by playing something really like melancholy on the piano. Do you know what I mean? And it feels good to play that. Whereas if I was to, I think this is what I'm trying to get around with vibration. Whereas if you kind of sit there and go, I'm feeling really sad, but I'm just going to play something really happy, it just don't happen.
Because you're not feeling that first.
Yeah, I'm not feeling.
So
it's almost a.
You have to match the mood.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's why sometimes, when you're sad, you just pick up on sad music. You hear sad songs, don't you? You hear the lyrics. You're like, man, I'm hearing this. You're tuning into it. If something come on really happy, you'd probably turn it over. Don't want to hear that.
Yeah, possibly. But also, like I never listen to lyrics ever.
Really?
Literally never listen to lyrics.
Why?
I mean, I have on the occasion if I've we mentioned that Sting song earlier. I know I've heard the lyrics to that, and I don't know whether it's because I came to music as an instrumentalist and a sax player, didn't listen to typical pop music and rock stuff as a kid when most kids do. So for that reason, maybe I'm just not drawn in by lyrics. So I don't really listen to them. What I get out of music is all the stuff, like you mentioned, the harmony and the beat and the melody and the sound of it. Like it's not just about all that. It's like the sound of the drum, the sound of the guitar. It's I
suppose you're tuning into it in a different way.
Yeah, but I still get something from it. But I would agree that if I'm in a certain mood, the music that I want to listen to would have to match that mood. Otherwise, I just wouldn't be into it.
Well, that's how you work.
Is it?
Yeah. So we're always tuning in to the reality around us based on what's going on here. So if you felt really anxious right now and really scared, and I went, hey, don't worry about it, it's going to be all right. You wouldn't automatically go, oh yeah. Your brain would kind of reject that. You wouldn't really take it in. You wouldn't absorb that. Do you know what I mean? Because you're not really going to absorb information which is outside of how you feel.
Right.
That's why just trying to think really positive when you're actually really in the shit doesn't often work.
No.
It's like a ladder, I think. You've got to like reach that next rung. I suppose that's why, I don't know if anyone knows this, but I wrote a book called How to Be Less Shit.
Okay.
That's the whole philosophy of it. Yeah. It's like sometimes you can't go to great, you just got to get slightly less shit because you can reach to that. But anyway, back to the music element of it. What you're experiencing in a gig like that, you say, God, everyone's like, that's group flow.
Group flow?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what that is. When you're in a gig, because I can geek out and stuff at this, but I think that's why you love music, because I think you lose yourself in it.
Yeah.
Well, I do anyway. It's almost like the lyrics, it can be a real soothing thing, but sometimes like good music, you lose yourself in it.
Yeah.
And then if you're surrounded by other people, you're all listening to the same thing. You're all in the same place.
Yeah.
There's this kind of element where you all become in one flow.
Yeah.
And that's just like a wonderful place to be. You'll have that when you play the saxophone, surely. There'll be times, I'm sure, when you play gigs where you go, I'm kind of thinking while I'm playing.
Or I'm going through the motions, I'm on autopilot.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea of us all being connected and stuff like that I usually get that when I'm watching a gig, or if I'm doing a gig, but it's a really big one, which hasn't happened that often, but there's been a few real bangers, and that's when I've felt that feeling. Interestingly, I went to see a band last week with my partner Lisa, and there wasn't a band that I really know a lot about, but she did. So I went. I was like, well, I'll not drink, and you can have a drink, and I'll drive, because it was in Leeds. So part of me was like, oh, I've got to go to a concert for a band that I'm not that into and not drink. I was like, this is going to be hard work.
That's love, that is.
But, well, maybe. But actually, it was really cool because there were times when, because I didn't know the songs really well, like I knew a couple of their big hits, basically, but I certainly didn't know the lyrics.
Who were they?
Keen.
Yeah.
Do you know Keen?
I've heard of Keen.
Yeah, so I think they're like
they're big, aren't they?
Late 90s, early 90s band. And they've got like 4 or 5 real big hits. But I certainly don't know the lyrics. But when they would come out and like they'd play these songs, and obviously when the big ones were on, like, everyone's up dancing, but then there would be slightly more obscure songs from this album called Hopes and Fears that was the 20th anniversary. That's what the tour's all about. But because I didn't know the music, I was just like looking around, and I felt a connection with people who were just to my left and right, never met them before, just enjoying the music. And I'm thinking, just looking around going, wow, this is cool. There's like about 10,000 people in a room all watching 4 lads do what they love.
Yeah, imagine.
And they're getting something off it, and we're getting something off it. And I'm not even that, I thought it was good. Like but it's not my stuff, but I still felt that connection, even though I'm not a Keen fan. It was amazing. It was really cool,
What's the biggest gig you've played?
It was with Judge Jules in Kings Lynn, and it was about 12,000 people.
It's a lot of people, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a lot.
What you were talking about, though, when we were talking about flow is like, I listened to Keith Richards, and he was describing, they were like, why do you still gig? And he's like, some gigs, there's that moment where everything's right, everything's in time, everything, and you almost feel like you're levitating.
Yeah, I can get what he means. Well, he's probably levitating because he's off his not on
He's not
drugs,
anymore,
right?
though, is he? He's clean as a whistle. I think he's given up alcohol. I mean, obviously he gave up heroin a long time ago. But yeah, I think he's off all things.
Wow.
But that is flow. Honestly, I've the last few years, 3 years, dedicated myself to understanding flow and what flow is.
So what is it then?
Flow is a state. The best acronym for it to just talk on a podcast is it's kind of characterized by what they call stir. So in flow, you become selfless.
Okay.
Meaning the chatter dies down.
Goes, yeah.
So there's lots of things that happen. I could explain it to you, but we end up doing a science lesson. But different parts of your brain kind of lower in activity, and lots of wonderful chemicals float around.
Okay.
And so you become a bit selfless.
Right.
So it's a bit like when I played football. I don't know how to describe it, but football is the easy example. You'd have some games where you'd just be thinking about the pass you gave away, or you'd be thinking how long till half time, or he's doing my head in, or I'm going to kick him later. Like you're thinking a lot about what's going on.
Yeah.
There's some games where you're just not thinking. You just pick it up, ping it, get it back. You're not thinking, you're just playing.
Yeah.
So you become selfless.
Right.
Tea is timeless, so time tends to distort in some fashion.
Yeah.
So that's where you go, God, is that it already?
Yeah.
Bloody
Time
hell, it's
flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, 5 minutes. Or time can really slow down in a good way. You're like, man, that's when a game seems to slow down in front of your eyes. If you're playing sport, for example. You know what I mean? Like you think, God, I'm seeing everything in slow motion. I'm just on fire. So timeless is tea. Effortless doesn't mean you put in no effort in, but it's like, this is effortless. Like I'm flying. Like everything's working. And richness. So your senses tend to dial in. You have a huge, rich experience.
Right.
You know, where you take everything in. So in states of flow, they would say productivity increases 500%, huge.
Right.
Empathy, cooperation, massively increases, like triple, I think. Creativity.
Okay.
And so people are trying to hack flow all the time and get it. But you can have flow as an individual. And everyone has it. You know, you go on a date or something, and it's the date where you just like, wow, time flew. It was great. I wasn't thinking about home or work. We were just here, weren't we? Yeah, it was brilliant. And you can have like group flow, which is interpersonal. So between me and you, we're in the same space. We're both, well, this is great. But you can have it on a mass scale. So you go to gigs.
Yeah.
And everyone's...
It's the perfect storm for that, isn't it?
Everyone's... There's little triggers like clear goals and stuff. So everyone's there to watch this and you're listening to the same thing.
Shared goal.
You're having a shared goal, shared experience. And all of a sudden, you're not in individual flow. It's not like you've all got... what are those headsets you can wear, like virtual reality? It's not like you're in your own little zone. You're actually in the same zone, if that makes sense. You're in the same experience. And that's when you feel connected and like even though you're not connected, like you said, everyone's almost on this another level together. And that's what good group experiences have. Whereas that's why at events people use things like music and, to try and get everyone in the same kind of space. But I'm obsessed with that. And I think I get that a lot when I play piano on my own.
Right. And football.
Not anymore. I wish I had it more football. Unfortunately, I never have any flow moments playing football. Yeah. But I think I think people chase it in unhealthy ways, obviously. Yeah. Become selfless. You can become selfless and timeless in lots of unhealthy ways.
Yeah, yeah.
So there is a dark side to flow, if you look at it that way. But I think everyone gets it somewhere, like in their life. So for me, sport's a common one because there's lots of triggers. Without boring you, there's things they go. A trigger is something that, when it's present, will help you access more flow. Yeah. So there's lots of different triggers. Like risk is a big trigger.
Okay.
Novelty is a big trigger.
Right.
Makes you pay attention. It's all about being immersed in the now.
Yeah.
At expense of all else. It's a good conversation.
Yeah, yeah.
Where you're like, I'm not thinking about what's going to happen later. Who's that on my phone? I'm just completely immersed. But I think that's what piano has given me. Interestingly, more when I wear a pair of headphones.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Blocks everything I say.
Yeah.
And interestingly, when I'm playing it, to only play it.
Yeah.
Not to
get better.
Get an outcome at it. Is what it tends to give me. But I suppose I've always one thing I'm going to keep talking here. But I got asked a question at one of our events. What's one thing you'd love to experience before you die? Right, it's a good question, isn't it?
Yeah. Turning 90 would be a good one.
But I was sat there thinking, what's one thing I'd like to experience? I think I'd like to play a song in a band.
Well,
I'd love to experience that. Before I die, I'd love to sit there and go,
we can definitely
I'm playing
in
a band.
There's a band here.
Yeah, I don't want to go do a gig, like a whole gig.
Yeah,
but I'd love to go, I'm actually playing with people. And they'd have to play with me. That sounds terrible. But I wouldn't be able to play with them.
I'd love to play with you.
They'd have to play with me. You know what, actually, I think Mark was thinking that because he locked the door when we came in. I was like, what the fuck's going on in here? It's soundproof as well.
That could easily be done.
Yeah, I think I'd love to do it. I don't even need an audience. I just go into a studio and go, I'm just going to play a song and you just can play along with me.
Yeah.
But I think that'd be amazing. What would you love to do before you die?
Ooh, good question. Realistically.
No, realistic. What's realistically
over
got
a
with
kick World Cup final for England. Score the winning goal. So that's the non-realistic
Okay,
one.
go on then.
Realistically, I don't know.
Mark,
Yes,
have a think. We're coming to you next.
One thing I'd like to experience, I mean, I'd love to play at the Hollywood Bowl.
The Hollywood, where's
the
that?
Hollywood Bowl.
Is that in Blackpool or something?
No, it's in LA, funnily enough. And it's just this iconic venue. I've never been there, but it's just this, I grew up listening to this artist's album. Have you ever heard of a guy called Chuck Mangione?
No,
Probably
I thought
not.
you were going to say Chuck Berry for a minute.
No, so Chuck Mangione is like a 70s...
Porn star?
No, he sounds like a porn star.
Yeah.
And some of his music's a bit like that, but it's kind of like 70s jazz funk / film type music.
I got you.
Very accessible melodies, and he's a flugelhorn player. So a flugelhorn is a slightly larger trumpet, and it's got a much more mellow sound. And when I was about 14 or 15, I discovered this album called Live at Hollywood Bowl, and it's Chuck with his like 4-piece band, which is drums, bass, guitar, and sax, and then a full orchestra with like French horns and strings and everything.
I love a good
and
orchestra.
it's like a double CD, and I've listened to that like so many times. And just based on that, I'm like, I'd love to play at the Hollywood Bowl.
Brilliant.
I don't even know if it's still there.
You lost me at It's a Double CD.
Yeah. It's great.
For all the young people watching, CDs
Yeah.
were these things that you plugged into, you slid into
I've
something.
still got them, man. They're over there.
I
Like,
know,
most
it's,
of them
it's
are.
impressive. When do you listen to them?
I've got nothing to listen to them on.
I've got a CD player.
No.
Records are big now, aren't they?
Yeah, coming back.
I like a record.
I haven't got a record player either.
My son broke my record player. Sorry, boss.
You broke
Anyway,
it.
Mark, quickly, before we move on, what would you like to do? Producer Mark, what would you like to experience before you cark it?
You'll have to say it when it comes out. Glastonbury,
Glastonbury,
5 p.m.
5 p.m.
Sun's out,
Sun's out,
playing drums for Reef.
playing drums for Reef. There you go. 3 is a magic number. Is that Reef? Who's that?
Oh, please.
Oh, yeah. Oh my God, that was my going out song as when that came on. Are
They're from your way.
they?
Yeah. From Stinks of Shit. Somerset.
Oh, well, that's a bit further than me, but yeah.
You know what? Yeah, but it's not,
Yeah,
it's
I love
not
it when people say
Yorkshire,
that.
is it?
They're from your way, about 3 hours away from you, but they're quite close.
Everything's 3 hours away down there.
Yeah, it is. I tell you something though, I would love to play in a band. That's what we're going to do.
Right?
Maybe just one song. Maybe we should do a live. What we should do is do a live version of this, right? You bring your sax, Mark bring his drums. I won't bring my piano, but maybe somebody can find me one.
Yeah.
And we're
We can get a keyboard down
musical interlude.
here.
Yeah.
Why
We're
not?
about to take a musical break.
What we could do is record. Have you got a jingle to this? Oh, you've got music to this, haven't you, already?
Yeah.
Oh, we could have recorded your own little tune to, bring you in and bring you off, so to speak.
Yeah. I always think if I could have done anything other than what I do, I just think,
More than football.
oh yeah, no interest in football. I'm glad I didn't play football. I
Really?
love football, but if I look at what I'm passionate about now, and I think you should always pay attention to what you're passionate about.
Okay.
I love music. I just love it. I've always got it on in the house.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always singing, always dancing with a kid. I just love music.
So you are doing it then. You are doing music. Just because you're not getting paid to do it.
I
doesn't
want to get
mean you-
paid. I don't. Yeah, what I mean is like I think I would have loved to have been like a musician.
You are
not
a
even
musician.
a professional.
But
Like,
you are. You play piano.
That's true.
You are a musician. You might not be a professional musician, but all that means is you get paid for it and you get to schlep up and down the A1 every Friday and Saturday night. So you are a
But
musician.
you do more than that, don't you? Because you're like,
Yeah.
you've simplified it there. I think music is just this, like you said, it brings people together. I think it's expressive. I think I would have preferred to, I think when I was younger, although I was into sport, I think really what I was an artist. There was a little artist in me somewhere that I just didn't get expressed because I was always playing sport.
Yeah.
If I'd have been born in
Yeah.
into a different non-sporting family, I reckon I'd have took up music. Ultimately.
Yeah. But it's not too late though, is it?
No, I might just pack it all in and just stop coaching people and just write an
you don't
album.
have to do that, but
No, I'm in. I'm all in. That's my personality.
You could
I'm out.
still, with regular practice and lessons, attain a very good level of musicianship before you croak it. Definitely. Definitely. It doesn't take that long. It just takes consistency. And
How is your consistency?
It's better than it was.
After our podcast?
Do you know, after that podcast, I had the first couple of days after that, I was exhausted.
Yeah, I have that effect on people.
It
Fucking
was,
draining me.
I was drained afterwards for like a day and a half. I was drained.
Yeah.
And then when it came out, I listened to it like a million times. And just because I couldn't remember what we'd said.
You were in flow.
Do you reckon?
Selfless, timeless.
Maybe, yeah.
Effortless, richness.
But then I felt, after that day and a half, I felt really good about my past and my story.
That's good.
And since then, I've not really been beating myself as much about not practicing and all the stuff we talked about not being consistent, because I've realised that actually that is just a story that I was telling myself, and I am consistent. I just need to look at where those areas are and realise, oh, you are consistent at that and that and that. You just weren't consistent at that one thing 30 years ago.
Yeah, I think my experience, there you go, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And we carry that around.
Yeah.
My experience of dealing with people, I was thinking about this because I've coached for maybe 10 years in what I do, roughly, in different guises. Is the guise is the right word?
Yeah.
If there's one thing I believe to be true, is that people are too hard on themselves. And I know that's not cool to say, because you're meant to say it's probably not hard enough and you've got to be harder and you've got to come down on yourself. But I truly believe...
That's what Goggins would say, but like...
Maybe, but I just truly believe if you talk to people and you actually question them on things, they start to realise maybe a lot of what I'm saying is not actually true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like maybe I'm a bit hard on myself. I think we're all hard on ourselves all the time. I don't know well, I do know where it comes from, but...
Where does it come from?
Well, it comes different. It comes from different places for different people, I'm sure, but our mind is only an accumulation, isn't it? You think about it.
Of experiences and
experiences and all the rest of it. I think we just accumulate it over time. Maybe it's a lot of it's society, a lot of it's experiences we have as young people, especially when we're in those formative years, isn't it? But I think we believe something, we create meaning out of something, and then we just carry that on and we never question it. Like your big story was, I'm just not consistent.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're like, I'm like, really? And you're like, well, I am quite consistent, but I could be more consistent.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, of course, I'm sure you could.
Yeah.
So could I.
Yeah.
What's more consistent look like?
Yeah.
So I think we're just too hard on ourselves, people in general. And that's easy to say, but pretty much everyone I come into contact with, you're like, man, you give yourself a hard time. Which is why I suppose I don't want to give someone a harder time already than they're having. You know? Sometimes I know that floats some people's boat. They see that online, they're like, oh yeah, I've got to be tougher on myself. And because I think actually people like to punish themselves more. But I don't know when you finish punishing yourself enough that you start to feel better.
Well, if it doesn't work, then what's the point of that? Like, if you're just going to feel more shit and then eat more fucking cake as a result, then what's the point of that?
Yeah, I just don't know. How can you punish yourself into happiness?
You can't.
I mean, I'm not saying, like, don't hold yourself accountable. Like, oh, I probably should do better there.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between, I probably should do better then. Like, oh, I'm a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And what am I doing myself? And I'm rubbish. And they're telling me, she's telling me, he's telling me I'm a piece of shit and I need to get myself together and come on, sort myself out. There's people who are depending on you. Yeah, I'll get it. People are depending. Yeah, I need to go again. And then we go again and we fall off and we go again, we fall off. I just don't know. It's not for me, that mentality. I think I was just really hard on myself for too long.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely in your camp, but maybe there is a market at least for people that do need that. I think there is, because there's people signing up to these alpha male things and,
Have you signed up?
No.
You haven't, yeah?
No, it won't last 5 minutes.
I did the alpha male thing. So I've seen on Bad Boys.
Yeah.
I did the group therapy thing. Have you seen that scene? Where he's like, woo-sa. That's me. I'm the group therapy. Woo-sa. You're wearing army boots and camo, aren't you?
I think some people do need that. I think some people need that. I would be like, if I signed up for something like that and wanted to do it, I'd do it because I feel that someone needs to push me because I don't push myself. Maybe that's all they're looking for, is for someone to push them harder than they push themselves. Because let's face it, most of us don't push ourselves as hard as we could, which is why, people beat themselves up.
Yeah, there's a million different ways to skin a cat.
Yeah.
Isn't it? It's like for some people, if that gives you the outcome that you desire, crack on. But it's not the only way.
No.
And I think sometimes people think that's what they have to do, particularly men. I think men are like, I need to go and punish myself a load. And I remember feeling like that. If I just punish myself, then I'll feel, then I'll get to feel better. But that wasn't the case for me.
No.
It just made me feel worse.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there is some people out there that are benefiting from that. I love this, you should be, if you're going to take something apart, you should know how to put it back together.
Yeah. But how do you know how to put it back together before you
Well, I think if you're facilitating an event like that.
Right, okay. You need to know what you're doing.
And I think if you're going to just smash yourself to pieces physically, for example, and mentally, and you're going to go into the depths of despair and all the rest of it, it's like, well, if you're going to take that apart, you better know how to put that back together on the other side. Because if you don't know how to put that back together for somebody, then I think that's unethical.
And do you think some of these guys can't
I
do that?
I don't know. Who knows? That's just...
So your unbreakable thing?
My unbreakable thing?
Yeah.
You sound like my dad now. Go on.
Yeah. When are you going to get a proper job?
Yeah.
How do you do it then? How would you... I sign up for your unbreakable thing.
Oh, yeah, I've got a link here if you want.
All right.
Yeah.
What should I expect? How long is it for a start?
Bloody hell, you asked me, so you're going to sign up or what? Yeah, let's do it, yeah.
Sell it to me.
It depends how long it is. Depends on the job that is there to be done.
Okay.
People will typically roll in for 30 days, and at the end of that 30 days, will be like, hey, you're here for 12 months.
Right.
But if you're asking me how it's different, or there's a million things that we do, but my ethos is literally this. Ultimately, you don't need to become somebody else. Everyone can improve their life, 100%. Anyone can have a better life. That's one thing you think, I think everyone should know that it can get better. May not get to great immediately, but it can get better. But the route to getting better is never becoming somebody else, it's becoming more of yourself. That's what it is. So if I was looking at transformation, I know I'm going off, I'm not answering your question, but I think it's relevant.
I'll ask it again later.
Yeah, ask it again. Transformation for me, I always thought, and I hear this all the time, people roll in, I've got to, the old me. I've got to get rid of this old me. I've got to stop doing this. I've got to be somebody different. You hear it along. You've got to become, your future self and all this kind of stuff. It's great. But I think sometimes we hear that and we say, I need to be somebody different. But I know by the end of 12 months with us, people are going to realize all they needed to be was themselves.
So it's more
and that's covered up by a load of shit.
Okay. So it's all more about growing into I know people say the best version of yourself, which has been overly used lately, but you're taking the bare bones of a person's belief system, ideas, characteristics, personality, and just trying to strip back the things that maybe are distracting them from that and improving their way to deal with things.
The first thing you do is get somebody, never goal set straight away.
Right.
So typically people go, well, you need to set some goals. But for me, if you're struggling or you're a bit burnt out and your energy's all over the shop, you're not setting goals because you can't think straight. You're thinking from a survival-based point of view. Just get the end of tomorrow.
Yeah.
So you've got to get somebody in a good place. You've got to build a foundation physically, mentally, and emotionally. Right. And that's where most people start and finish their journey, if you think about it. It's like, I'm moving, I'm hydrating, I'm doing some stuff for me.
Sleeping
I've got some goals. I've got this, and then there's like, some people that's enough, but for many people that's never going to be enough.
Okay.
They get their system working. So the first thing you do, you get your foundation in, and then you go, wow, let's think about your life. What do you want out of it? You know, what do you want out of key areas? Because you can't, you know, jumping in an ice cold bath every morning is not going to take your money problems away. It's not going to take your relationship problems away. You got to go deal with them then.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people won't, will they? It's like, oh, just meditate. It's like, well, that's not going to meditate away your self-loathing and your terrible habits. So then you go and think, well, what do I want out of my life? You know, in key areas. And so we get people moving towards that. They move through 3 stages, really. It's called foundation, lighthouse, mastery.
Okay.
So foundation, build a foundation. Lighthouse, go and build your life with other people. Mastery, how do you make that stick? And mastery is about becoming more of yourself, not less, not a copy of some guru somewhere. You know, I hate it when people start talking, sounding, and having goals. Well, I don't hate it. Like the person they're following. And you think, what, you're just going to be like them? Or are you going to be like you? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think true transformation is almost like a shedding of layers and becoming more and more of you. And you realize like, shit, I was really, I didn't have to become somebody else. I had to become more of me. But that's really hard to grasp at the start when you don't fucking like yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
I read somewhere once, I think it might have been on Instagram somewhere. I follow a lot of like people in your niche. I love it. I love that stuff.
Yeah.
I probably follow it too much because most of my feed is that type of stuff. But I read something once and I mean, don't quote me, but it's something along the lines of when you get to your midlife, and it's almost like, you know, you go through some people don't go through it, but you have this midlife crisis or you deal with getting older, whenever that is, 35, 40, 50, whatever. This message was, you realise that you're trying to be more like you as a child. So it's like you're regressing in a way, but you're not regressing. What you're doing is you're stripping back all the shit that you were building up.
You've accumulated.
Through 20s and 30s and 40s. So it would
Yeah.
tie in with what you're saying. Like, because most of us, unless you've got a traumatic childhood, we all think of our childhoods as like the best part of our lives, partly because we didn't have any financial worries and, you know, so it would make sense that to go back to that kind of way of thinking would make you happier because...
And also, I think as you move through life, this is what, you know, there's going to be people out there who say, well, like, what's the point in setting goals or not even like creating a vision? Well, it's because life is always changing. What is important to me today was not important to me 5 years ago.
Yeah, same, yeah.
And my vision for my life is different. So imagine if I just had a vision for my life and it was set in stone. It's constantly evolving. You're constantly, and if you're constantly crafting it, for me, that if you've got an idea of the kind of future you want, it gives you a compass. It's not like I'll be happy when I get there. It's like, this is what I'm about. What a vision to me is this is what I'm about.
Right now.
Yeah, and that's
But it could change.
Yeah, and it could change. How much has Unbreakable changed in the last 5 years? Loads. How much has my idea of my family life changed? Loads. How much has my relationship to my physical health changed? Loads. It's very different when I was 20 to now.
Yeah.
So it's this constant crafting, I think, it's really, a craft and a vision for me is actually crafting a sense of what's important to me. And who doesn't benefit from knowing what's important to them? Yeah. So it's not just one and done. There's my goals, I've achieved them, is my life changed? Because that's kind of what the development space sometimes would like you to believe. Set some goals, they're probably 90 days long, you know, and then you've hit them and your life's going to change. It's like, well, not necessarily. It's this ongoing process. There's no finish line.
Never stops.
No. And once you buy into there's no finish line, there's no rush, is there?
Yeah.
Is there a rush if I've got no finish line? It's like if I have finish line for Unbreakable and what I do in the communities and the coaching we run, it's like, God, I've got till 40 to do this.
Yeah.
That can add a nice little, you know, bit of urgency.
Yeah.
But I know for the fact is, I'm going to coach for a long time. I've got a long time to get out. what I need. Do you know what I mean? And you hear stories about musical artists who are crafting away for ages, then they get that big hit and it all goes from there. So I think a lot of us, we put this is what I want this year. And that's good. You should have, you should, but
Yeah. It's good to have
beneficial.
short to medium term goals, obviously.
But look at your life as a whole.
Yeah.
It's like, well, stop racing through. Like, what do you, and I always say, like, if you're not working on your health, then what are you doing with your health? Abusing it?
Yeah.
So you're always working on your health. So just say, I'm just committed to working on my health forever.
Yeah. You're never going to be like, right, that's me done. Health. Health completed.
Health. You know that mindset stuff.
Completed health.
Completed it, mate.
Yeah.
Did it. Took me 94 days. I'm a bit disappointed because I wanted 90. But 94 is not bad. I can just go on, and life's probably not going to change at all now. Life will just be set in stone. But we're always changing, aren't we?
Yeah. Your health definitely changes as you get older.
But so do your perspectives and values, I think, through all the experiences you have. I think if I looked at what I would call activity values, the things I value in my life, I know I value freedom, I value health, I value connection. I'm happiest when I'm living a life where my activities reflect that. When I experience a lack of freedom, a lack of connection, don't look after my health, I feel it.
Yeah.
I feel unhappy. So I think, I don't know why we're talking about this, but ultimately, if we're sat and we're setting, I think sometimes we need to see the difference between goals and visions in my own terminology. Goals is like, I've got a vision, I'm going to set some meaningful benchmarks because that actually allows me to focus.
And to break it down.
And make it achievable.
Yeah, that is important.
Yeah. But if you never look beyond goals,
Yeah.
you never say, well, what do I want out of my life? And if you just have this one vision set in stone, you never change it, or think that you're going to get your goal and complete your health, then you're going to have problems.
Do you always ask people, when they tell you what their goal is, do you always ask them why is
No.
that? You don't?
No, I don't. I try.
Is that because you're not bothered, or it doesn't interest you? Because
Yeah, I don't give a shit about people, me.
No,
I know what you mean.
What I mean is, do you not think that matters? Because a lot of people say, "What's your why?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why are you doing this?
This is a good question.
And it often reaches up to something higher. Why do I want to be healthy? Well, I could say I want to look good in the mirror, but actually, if you strip it back, it's like, well, because I want to be around for as long as I can for my kid.
Yeah. So I have mixed ideas around whys, because I think sometimes you just want what you want and it's hard to articulate the why.
Right.
So I don't like hammering someone for the why. When they say that I want to achieve this, and it's like, okay, why? And they're like, I don't know, I just feel like I want to. Sometimes that person can't articulate why they want to do that.
And it might have them put them off.
But they just do. I've had goals in my life where I'd set a goal and people would be like trying to get the why out of me forever. And you're like, I don't know, I just know, it feels good for me to think about that. Why do I need to have some grand reason? And I think people always pull a grand reason out their ass, which probably isn't the reason anyway.
Yeah, they probably tell you what they think you want to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think whys are important, but I think sometimes I would never hammer you on it.
Yeah.
Because then I think sometimes people can start convincing themselves they don't want it.
That's
well,
what
maybe I don't.
Yeah,
I mean, I haven't got a big why.
Exactly. That's happened to me before.
So maybe
you
just
start
want
to
it.
doubt yourself. It's like, oh, maybe that's not that.
Why do you want to play music?
It feels good.
So you said, why do I do what I do? You said that off camera.
Yeah.
Why do you do what you do? I've asked myself the same question.
Because it feels
sometimes good. But sometimes I'm like, why the hell am I doing this?
Yeah.
Why am I even bothering? Why is it? But I do. It feels great. I love helping other people. Some chap mowing his lawn out there. I love
someone is mowing the lawn by the sounds of it.
I love helping other people. I'm passionate about the topics. I want to make an impact.
Take a break. Just 1 second. I'll leave it all running.
Yeah, so Mark's back now in the house.
Sorry about that, folks.
Mark's back. We got rid of, was it a leaf blower outside? Some bloke blowing his leaves. He's out there now going, fucking studio, can't mow my leaves. That's how he sounds in my head. Sounds like my dad. Sort of thing my dad would be doing. Well, you can get fucked me off like a studio. I'm going to do my job. But no, on the concept of whys.
Yeah.
What were we saying when Mark went out of the room?
Well, I think we both agree that sometimes having a why isn't as big a deal as some people would have us make.
That's what I was thinking. I think sometimes we do things because everyone does things.
Yeah.
And there's these way of doing things. But actually, if it's detrimental and you're sat there thinking, I'm not taking any action because my why is not strong enough.
Yeah.
Very often in people, it's never for me that the why isn't strong enough. It's usually a lack of clarity around how to do the thing they're trying to do, or their situation, their life's making it quite hard. They're trying to do it on their own. It's very rarely, my why is not strong enough to pull me. It's like, I think if you keep coming back to the same goal every year, there's a reason.
Obviously important too, yeah. Maybe we should chat about this more in the next one then, because I feel like
good segue.
There's a lot to unwrap.
I think we're going to do that. We're going to jump off here. We've talked about a lot. We've talked about music, how crap Sting is.
There was something you said earlier, and I meant to try to remember it because I want to ask you about it, and I've forgotten what it is.
We talked about flow.
Anyway, it'll come to me.
You're here for another 3 episodes.
Let's get.
And what we're going to do is we're going to end this and pretend that you've come back next week.
Yeah.
See you next week.
Try and grow a beard.
Yeah.
See ya.
Mark's looking at the thing like that. Just fucking shut up with you every time. See you, folks. See you next week.